So as you've written the outcomes that you've written, what I'd like you to do just for fun, because we're going to go over the keys to an achievable outcome. And I think you and I should do this together. Let's just you and I for a moment go over one of the goals that you picked. So take a moment, think about this, and pick one of the goals. Like which one of them is the most important, or which one of them, if you accomplish this goal, would this be the most important training that you'd ever taken? Or the most important series of programs that you'd ever listened to. Okay, got it? Good. If you haven't, then go ahead and stop or press pause until you do. Okay, now let me ask you some questions about this, and I'd like you to notice what happens inside you as you fully consider each of the questions that I'm going to ask you. So the first question I'd like to ask is, what specifically do you want to have happen? What specifically do you want to have happen by creating this outcome for yourself? And you can think about that. Now, the next question is, where are you now? Compared to what specifically you want, where are you now? Okay. And what will you see, hear, and feel when you have accomplished this outcome? So think about that. Think about that. And then the next one is, how will you know when you have it? This is really, really important. How will you know when you've accomplished what you want to accomplish from listening to this tape set? Like what's going to happen that when it happens, you absolutely go, yes, I got it. Or something, whatever you do, something like that. Yeah. How will you know? Now, the next question is, what will this outcome get for you, or what will it allow you to do? What will it get for you, or what will it allow you to do? Is this only for you? So think about that. Is this only for you, or are there other people involved that you're doing this for also? I think, by the way, if I could make a comment here, I think it's important for you to want it primarily for you. I think it's okay to have it with other people, but I think also you're going to be the person that has to get it. So you're going to have to do this. And then the next question is, where, when, and how, and with whom do you want it? So notice, who is it going to be with? Where will you be? When is it going to happen? How is it going to happen? Good. And next, what do you have now? And what do you need to get your outcome? Think about that for a moment. What do you have now, and what do you need? What will you need in order to be able to get this outcome? By the way, as you think about that, if you're ever, when you ask that question, what do you need to get your outcome? If you're ever in a situation where you find you don't have everything you need, you could ask yourself the following 3 questions underneath. Have you ever had or done this before? Do you know anyone else who has? And if you don't, and if you haven't, can you act as if you already have accomplished that? Okay, good. And then the final question is, for what purpose do you want this? What will you gain or lose if you have it? These are all questions that as we begin an NLP session, whether we begin an NLP session with a client, let's say we're doing therapy, or if we're doing business consulting using NLP, or let's say that we're working with a kid in education, we're helping the child to get better grades, or let's say we're using it in a business setting. No matter what setting we're using it in, when we begin our NLP session, we're going to want to ask some of these questions. By the way, the bottom 4 questions under number 9 at the very bottom of the page, those are questions that we'll talk about during your actual practitioner training. When you come and take the training with us, we'll talk about those last 4 questions. They're also very important, but they're used somewhat differently. Now let's go on to page 11.